Hi, this is Rajat. I got a PM to respond to this question, so here is my response. First of all, I'd say this is a fairly standard argument and a fairly standard weekend question over here. Over here, the author presents a set of facts, and then based on it, he draws a conclusion. And then he says, present some new information, which, when added to this argument, would weaken the conclusion or make the conclusion less believable or less likely. So let's kind of just look at this argument and try to understand what the author is saying. The author over here says that a group of children of various ages, they were read stories. The group was read stories in which people caused harm. Okay, and some of these people caused harm intentionally, while another group caused harm accidentally. So when these children were asked what appropriate punishment for those who had caused harm, the younger children, so the younger children of the group, unlike the older ones, they assigned punishments that did not vary according to whether the harm was done intentionally or accidentally. So basically, uh, this is a fact that the author said, and what the fact is that younger children said that the punishment should be the same regardless of whether this harm was caused intentionally or not. Based on this, the author draws his conclusion that younger children they do not regard people's intentions as relevant to the punishment. So based on this, this is what author's conclusion is. So when you look at it to really say what is the author assuming while drawing his conclusion, the author makes the assumption that that younger children are able to decipher whether whether uh, whether a harm was caused intentionally or not. So that's something that the author is assuming, because if younger children are unable to decipher whether a harm was caused intentionally or not, then the conclusion really falls down. So what would weaken the conclusion? Something that really somehow does not support the assumption. So somehow, if you present new information that really says that it is likely that younger children did not understand whether the difference between whether a harm was caused intentionally or not. So choice A, by stating that in interpreting these stories, the listeners had to draw on a relatively mature sense of human psychology in order to tell whether the harm was produced intentionally or accidentally. Choice A, by providing this new information, kind of increases the likelihood that probably these young children weren't able to understand the difference, and hence it weakens the conclusion. It doesn't weaken any premise. They still It doesn't weaken the fact that younger children handed out the same punishment regardless of whether the harm was intentional or not. What it really hints is that these younger children weren't really aware of whether the harm was done intentionally or not, because doing so required a higher level of thinking, which they probably did not have. They had not developed that level of thinking. So I hope this makes choices. That makes it clear why choices is the correct answer. Let me know if you have any doubts.